Hey, influencers. Hello and welcome to Behind the Screen Business Confessions with your girl, Anika Cohen. I am your business strategist. I help and support leaders to start, build, and grow their business with clarity, confidence, and strategy. And so I'm super excited, as always, to have another real, raw conversation to motivate and support our leaders around the world to propel forward, to continue with your journey, right? And so we are continuing the conversation that we had on our previous episode, talking about how to handle rejection like a pro. We talked about the different forms of rejection, right? Because we want to be clear about how it is showing up for you. All right. And so we talked about the different forms of rejection. So if you didn't catch that episode, listen, you can go back and catch the episode. And I love to hear your thoughts about that. So listen, if you are new to the show, hello and welcome. Thanks for being here. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. We love to have new listeners that are here in our conversation. So thank you for being here. And so let's get right into it. Let's talk about this thing called rejection, right? It shows up for everyone. No one is exempt from being told no. No one is exempt from being told no, from experiencing being told no, decline, not available, not at this time, right? It can go on. It can be said in various ways, but the bottom line is you were rejected. You were not approved. You were not validated and or accepted in what it is that you wanted to achieve by someone else's opinion, by someone else's judgment. And I am here to talk about those experiences and how, if we don't check in, how it can show up and we can self-sabotage in our journey in entrepreneurship. We can self-sabotage unwillingly, unconsciously, because we're not clear about what the problem is. And for some of us, the rejection that has been unresolved, that has not been dealt with, that has not been addressed, it will show up in your networking. It will show up in your collaborations and your partnerships. It will show up how you do business with your clients or your potential clients, because when conflict or confrontation arises, how you respond is you go back to that experience of trauma, rejection, not being good enough, not being validated, not being approved. Come on here, somebody. And so these are real dialogues that I have with leaders, because by trade, I'm a counselor. I work with people every day. This is what I do from day to day, because I love to serve. I love to support. I love to be that guidance, right? Or that listening ear. Come on here, somebody. What I know to be true is everybody needs somebody. And so you need me, I need you, and I'm here to serve and support you on your journey in entrepreneurship. Even those of you who want to start your business, but you're uncertain, there's doubt, there's reserve, right? And so we need to talk about how, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, we have a due diligence to do the work within us. We have a due diligence and a responsibility to check in with our well-being emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, because we are serving others. We are putting ourselves to serve others. And so we have to do our due diligence with checking in. And so talk about rejection and how no one is exempt from it. There's minor and major rejections in our lives, right? Those minor rejections may come in when we're just being told no. Oh no, you can't go to that bathroom. You have to go to the bathroom around the corner down the street, right? Oh, I'm sorry, we're closed at this time. We're no longer taking new clients, whatever. Those could be minor examples, but I'm talking about those major rejection moments when you were not accepted, approved, or validated. Come on here, somebody, from those particular people that you look to say yes, that They support your vision. They support your idea. Come on here, somebody, that they are with you. Come on here, somebody. But when you were told the opposite, it caused you to stay stuck. It caused you to now question and self-doubt, right? That's what happens. And and here's the thing. Again, it's going to happen to each of us, but how we respond can make the difference. How we respond to those moments can make the difference. And so I want to talk about that on part 2. That's what I want to talk about. How, when we talk about healing, we have to heal and we have to nurture that. We have to nurture our healing. We have to make sure that we do the work necessary to reassure, to validate who we are and becoming, right? The experiences that were devastating, the experiences that were traumatic, the experiences that you felt disappointment and sadness, when those triggers present themselves to you, you don't divert to old patterns. You don't divert to what's comfortable, but you choose to respond differently. And I want to talk about your healing when it comes to those of us who have been majorly impacted by someone not approving or accepting us or something that is important to you. So healing from rejection is personal and it's individual. Okay. We all have this journey that we have to experience and go through. And so the signs of healing, let's talk about those. Okay. And how we can conquer being rejected and handle that emotion like a pro. Come on here. Let's get into it so it doesn't cause you to self-sabotage in your business, in your journey. And so the first thing is you'll find yourself in this growth walk, in this growth journey. You'll find that when you check in and you start doing the work, you'll become emotionally stable. You'll become emotionally stable. Let's talk about that. You find that your emotional reactions to reminders of the rejection are less intense. Instead of feeling pain, sadness, or anger, you may feel more neutral or even empowered. Come on here, somebody. So you're now gaining a growth mindset. You are now allowing yourself to respond maturely. You're now allowing yourself to think before you react. You are now allowing yourself to pause and process what it is that you received, what was spoken to you, right? Instead of being impulsive and reacting. My God, we talk about emotional stability. This is something that we have to practice intentionally every day. So you have to be aware of your thoughts. You have to be aware of your emotions. And this is where I say expand your horizon, expand your vocabulary, expand your language. Right? And so there's more to emotions than sadness. There's more to emotions than anger. There's numbness, right? There's calm. There's so many emotions. And the more that you are able to recognize other emotions, you are able to clearly identify what it is that you are feeling. And that allows you to become emotionally stable. Come on here, somebody. So you are practicing mindfulness. You are practicing mindfulness of your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions, because they are all associated together. All right. So come on here. Talk about empowerment. Talk about how you will begin to address challenges. I know for myself, I practice emotional stability daily. It is something that I have to practice because I'm serving daily, my community daily, by counseling these individuals who are struggling with substance abuse, who are in a position to maintain their well-being, right? Their mental health. So I have to do the work intentionally, checking in with my thoughts, my feelings, right? Because those will show up in my behavior. Those will show up how I take action and how I respond to a difference in opinion. Come on here, somebody. So not all Rejection has to be where you internalize it to say, just because someone doesn't agree with me. Let's talk about conflict and confrontation. There is a difference between the two. Conflict is there is a difference in agreement. We don't agree. We don't have a common agreement on this particular situation, on this topic at hand. But that doesn't mean that we are mad with each other. That doesn't mean that you don't like me. That just means that, again, we have a difference in opinion. Okay, there is a conflict in our viewpoints. Confrontation is where it's now argumentative. It's now a situation where it is becoming hostile. Okay. Voices are being elevated. Okay. That's where there's a yelling match. I'm just trying to prove a point. I am fighting to be right instead of, again, having a conflict, a difference of opinion, and having the understanding of those differences and being okay with it. Confrontation is the total opposite. That has a lot to do with ego. That has a lot to do with pride. That's had a lot to do with proving your point. Come on here, somebody. So emotional stability will cause your response to be more mature. It will cause your response to be more intentional and strategic. You don't have to match energy. Come on, that's what I had to tell myself. I don't have to match energy. My silence is my power. Me modeling a different way to respond to conflict is a healer. I show people how to respond to differences instead of matching energy, because that's the easiest thing to do is react. It's one of the easiest things to do. So number one is, again, when we talk about the healing and handling rejection like a pro, is to have that emotional stability. Number two is acceptance. All right. Acceptance. Here's one of the things that I've learned and I'm learning. I've learned to accept. I've learned to accept other people's decisions. It doesn't mean that I like it or I agree with it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with what's being said or spoken or what's been done. But to accept it says that I acknowledge what has happened. I acknowledge what has been spoken, what has been done. I acknowledge their feelings. I'll share with you a personal experience that I have encountered this year. And so in a relationship, and the gentleman decided to no longer be in the relationship with me. He decided to end the relationship. His reasoning for ending the relationship, he told me, I listened. I didn't necessarily like it. I didn't necessarily agree with it. And so for me and my background, that would have been a moment of, Anika, here it is. You are being rejected, not accepted in this relationship. And I could have allowed myself to internalize it and say, I'm not good enough. I'm always going to be by myself. And I just could have internalized that in so many different ways that were not going to be helpful to my growth, to who I am as a woman. And so I learned in that moment to accept his feelings, to accept his point of view, although I did not like it. I did not agree with it. I did not understand from his perspective. And so I learned that it's not for me to understand from my perspective. It's for me to understand from his perspective. And when I could not do that, I have to accept his decision and choose to move forward. Not ponder on what if, not try to show him that this is what it could be, prove to him this is what it could be, right? I chose to accept his point of view, have the conversation, and continue to move forward. I did not allow myself to go in that space of, I'm not good enough now. I'm not deserving of love. I'm not going to try to continue dating. Did I have moments? Yes. Chose not to stay there. But in accepting, I had to accept his point of view. And I chose not to force, try. I chose not to prove, because sometimes we go there, ladies. Come on, we can try to prove. No, this is what it was. Prove your point. No, that's ego. That's pride. So acceptance, you have come to accept what happened and acknowledge that rejection is a part of life. You no longer dwell on the situation and can reflect on it without significant distress. Talk about, again, emotional stability. You have to practice these skills daily. And it all starts with just being aware of your feelings, of your thoughts, and how they can impact your life. And so we've already talked about healing like a pro, healing like a pro, right? When it comes to that rejection, handling it like a pro. We talked about emotional stability. We talked about acceptance, right? Now we're talking about improved self-esteem. Number 3, improved self-esteem. You feel better about yourself and your worth is less tied to the question or opinion of others. Let me read that again for you. When you begin to heal from being rejected, your self-esteem will improve. It will begin to evolve. It will begin to increase. Come on here, somebody. So you feel better about yourself and your worth is less tied to the opinion or questions of others. You recognize your strength and value independently of rejection experiences. So again, listen, I just shared with you a very transparent experience for me when it comes to dating as a woman, right? And how the relationship ended, not because I wanted it to end, but because he chose to end the relationship. And so that could have affected my self-esteem. That could have affected me in how I showed up in my business. Come on, I work with men too. So I could have projected had I not, again, being able to be emotional, having that emotional stability, being able to accept and being able to improve within my own self esteem, knowing my worth. So I didn't tie my worth to that man. I didn't tie my worth to that experience. That experience was teachable. It taught me to accept. It taught me to still accept other people's point of view, not fighting to be right. It showed me that I am growing and that I'm nurturing my healing as a woman. So everything has its purpose in our life. Every experience that we encounter has its purpose if we just choose to remove the shade, remove whatever's blocking you from seeing things clearly. And so, yes, improve self-esteem. That's going to happen within you because everything has to begin with me, my self-esteem, my happiness, my peace of mind, my contentment, right? All of those things have to start with me. I can't look to anyone to validate that. They had to add to that in the relationship. That's the growth mindset within me today. Right. And so that experience, again, although was it disappointing? Yes. Was it embarrassing? No. Right. Was it disappointing? Yes. Was I angry about it? Yes. but it's not tied to my self-worth. It's not tied to my self-esteem. It's not tied to who I am and becoming as a woman. And we have to learn to accept people's point of view, accept their decisions, and stop fighting to be right and operate from our ego and our pride. I learned a long time ago, I will never force anyone to like me or be in relationship with me. Any type of relationship. Let's talk about colleagues, right? Any type of relationship. Some relationships will outgrow themselves. Some relationships are to teach you and to grow you in different aspects of your life. So again, everything in life has its purpose. All right. And so, last thing I want to leave you with when we talk about how to handle rejection like a pro and the healing of that emotion is healthy relationships and boundaries. Yes, healthy relationships and boundaries. Let's talk about that. You are open to forming new connections and you feel comfortable building trust again. Come on here. You are not overly guarded or fearful of future rejection. Again, we are all going to be rejected. There's going to be someone that does not accept you for who you are today. They're going to have a difference of opinion. They are not going to approve of what it is that you do or how you're doing it, right? But we can allow that to distract us. We can allow that to allow us to question or doubt our assignments in life because not everybody's supposed to agree with you. Learn to be okay with that, right? But we can have healthy relationships. I consider that even though we went separate ways, I still admired the relationship because it was healthy overall. Overall, in my opinion, my experience, it was healthy because we were able to still have that conversation as adults and walk away from each other without any confrontation. Come on here, somebody, physically or mentally. There was no confrontation. We had a conversation and we separated mutually. No confrontation. Maturity. Talking about being able to have a healthy relationship. You can have a relationship that also separates and do it in a healthy manner. My God, right? You can do that when you mature, when you practice emotional stability, when you learn to accept. Come on here, somebody, right? When you are working on yourself esteem, okay? You will begin to create healthy relationships and boundaries. When something no longer works for you, you address it. You have the conversation. This is what I heard, right? Because oftentimes people hear from their experiences. So communication is all about listening and interpretation of what was being spoken. So I often say use the model of, okay, this is what I heard to gain clarity. And you don't leave that conversation assuming that this person said this when they said that. So you always want to gain clarity of what it is that you heard from their perspective, from their experience. And then how can I support you? That's all about a resolution. That's all about bringing a resolve to the problem. Healthy relationships. It's not about fighting to be right. It's your ego or your pride has nothing to do with it. It more so looks like compromise. It more so feels like empathy. Come on here, somebody. Okay. So those are the emotional stability. Those will be the places that we tap into instead of pride, instead of narcissism, right? So let's recap. when we talk about signs of healing and how to handle rejection like a pro, okay, this is how you handle it like a pro. This is how you handle it, because you begin to see your experiences as a learning opportunity rather than definitive judgment. Come on here, somebody, on your worth. You don't internalize it. You see rejection as, I choose not to settle. I choose to not devalue my beliefs, devalue my voice, dim my light, right? Come on here, somebody. You're able to derive, okay? You're able to derive lessons from situations that contribute to your personal growth. So your whole quality of life changes when you practice these tools, these skills, these principles of life. So emotional stability, okay? Improve self-esteem, healthy relationships and boundaries, acceptance, all right? So take that off the screen because it's wrong. So let me just recap for you. Emotional stability, acceptance, improve self-esteem, and healthy relationships and boundaries. So those are the tips for you on how you can handle rejection like a pro and begin to heal and nurture your healing. So show up for yourself daily and choose to live, right? Choose to be liberated, improve daily, be vivacious and enlightened. All right, until next time.